Well, hello there. What is an underpainting? It is the first layer of paint applied to a surface before the final painting. The purpose for an underpainting is to establish a composition, to build contrast by clearly defining the light and the dark patterns, and to avoid major adjustments as most of the composition and the values have already been established. And my favorite definitely is to overcome the stark white canvas. It can be very daunting to start applying color to the very beginning. So the underpainting works as a bridge and as a warm-up. It was used by the old masters and it continues to be used today. In this video I will show you how I begin many of my paintings and give you tips that you may find useful when beginning yours. So stick with me and let's find out. The supplies we are going to need are going to be the original photo that you can see on the left, and then the photo printed using only 5 values, and I did it in Chroma Magic. Then the colors are going to be burnt umber and burnt sienna that we're going to mix together. My canvas is going to be an 8x10 board, and the brushes are going to be several Bristol brushes in different sizes, one large, very soft comb brush, 2 filbert soft brushes, and 1 intermediate. And as a medium, we're going to use a little bit of Gamsol. I'm mixing a generous amount of burnt sienna by Winsor & Newton and burnt umber by Winsor & Newton. And now we're getting ready to paint. So the first thing that I do is with the grid, I start with the outline, and I'm using the mixture of Winsor & Newton burnt umber and burnt sienna to mark the perimeter of these 3 nectarines. So now I am only going to be looking at this photo of 5 values, and I'm going to do the blocking. I began by putting a little bit of the mixture of burnt sienna and burnt umber in the brush, and I'm starting with the darks. I want to get those darks first, and the reason is it's much easier because dark colors are easier to see than intermediate colors. Remember, this is just 5 values, so we start with the darkest dark, and also the shadows are going to tie this whole composition together and will give us a nice path in which the eye will follow, or that is the goal. So I'm using a pretty large Bristol brush, and the reason why I do that is because I'm scrubbing right now. This is a pretty cheap canvas, so it's not very absorbent, and I didn't want to put any linseed oil in there because it's the underpainting, so I don't want to have any oil. So I'm diluting the paint slightly with a little bit of Gamsol or mineral spirits, and depending on how much color or how little color I put in, the color will be lighter or darker. Right now it's pretty dark because I use a little bit of medium, so it got a little too dark too fast, but not to worry, because if you get it too dark too fast, all you have to do is clean the brush. I'm working on the background now, and for that I grabbed the biggest Bristol brush that I have, and I'm scrubbing some of the color there, making it a little darker around the corners, and that will bring the attention back into the peaches, which is exactly what I'm looking forward. I'm working on the cloth now, and this cloth is a white satin cloth, very reflective, and it's one of my favorites for still lives because it really reflects nicely the colors of the objects on top of it. So there will be some beautiful peachy reds and some light greens from the background on it that I'm really looking forward to paint. However, I'm not gonna be completely faithful to it and paint exactly every fold, because this painting is going to be alla prima, and the key on it is to make it as few strokes as possible. The last thing that I do is to wipe out the main highlights. They're going to be on the middle nectarine, and the one on the left is a little softer, but I really have very little control, so I have to do what I have to do. And the sock is the absolute best thing that I found out to do with, because it stays in my hand. So after I wipe off the highlights, then I use a semi-soft but fairly old brush to just rub it around just a little bit to make it a little bit softer, to give it a little bit more of the look that it will have finally when I have all the color in. So I added the darks on the nectarines. Notice that I've already changed the composition. I made the right one smaller and a little bit lower to change the levels, because I didn't want the levels to be the same. That will make for a boring composition. So I'm putting a bit more dark on the outside of them, because some of those darks have been lost, and spread with the same soft brush the color a little bit around the highlights so it's not so stark. And the same thing with the darks. I just spread them around so they're not so hard, and everything will become a little softer. I'll do the same thing in the cloth. I don't want to take this to a high degree of finish, because obviously I'm going to put paint on it. And after I've completed all that, then I bring my favorite brush, which is Rosemary Comb Long Flat Brush. And it is very, very soft. It has very few hairs and is ideal. I found this brush to do a better job than the soft fan brush for this purpose. I just spread the paint around because I don't want to have any ridges. If I have ridges with the paint, not only the paint will take longer to dry, but also they will catch the light later when I apply the color on top of it. And I don't like that, because then I will have to scrape it all off. So I brush everything, and I, move the paint around as much as I can without disturbing too much the colors that I have. And hence the importance of this brush is so delicate that if you use a light touch, you don't disturb anything underneath. And that's, we're pretty much finished with this now. If you found this video useful, please give it a like and subscribe, because that way it will help me to continuously bring you good content, and hopefully you get a lot of good information out of this video. And thank you so much for watching.